Hi, I'm Steve Hunt. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm also the owner of College Tax Refunds, where we help recent college students and other young adults and their parents claim thousands of dollars that they didn't even know they missed on their old tax returns. Now, we've helped thousands of students claim millions of dollars already, and I've been doing a discussion here about 15 common, costly, critical mistakes that recent college students and other young adults and their parents miss at tax time. I'm trying to tell you what those mistakes are, how you can fix them if you made them on past tax returns, and also I hope that you will not make them going forward. That's my hope. I've created this because I created my company, collegetaxrefunds.com, because I noticed that my own college students were missing these tax breaks and these credits on their tax returns, and I wanted to help them get money back because, hey, $1,000, $1,300, or even as much as $6,000, $7,000 is how much money they were missing, and that is a game changer for college students and young adults like yourself. I mean, what would you do with a few thousand extra dollars? So, I want to dive deeper today into number 3. This is the third common, costly, critical mistake that I want to talk about, which is claiming only a partial American Opportunity Tax Credit, also abbreviated AOTC. Now, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, missing this or claiming only a partial amount is actually, this should probably be number 1, because this is probably the most common mistake that students or their parents make, and it is probably the most costly mistake that students or their parents make, and they make it all the time. So most undergraduate students should qualify for a $1,000 AOTC, American Opportunity Tax Credit, 4 times while they're in college. Okay. Now, this credit needs to be claimed by whoever is claiming the college student as a dependent. So, if the college student filed their own taxes, claimed themselves as their nobody else could claim them as a dependent, then the college student gets the credit. But if your parents claimed the college student, you, as a dependent, then the parents get the American Opportunity Tax Credit. The credit is up to $2,500 for 4 years. So it's basically up to $10,000 per student. And you get it for your first 4 years of college when you're an undergraduate student, meaning you haven't yet earned a 4-year degree, bachelor's degree, or a 4-year certificate or anything like that. Most students qualify for $1,000 4 times. If parents are claiming them as a dependent, a lot of times students missed, or the parents missed, a lot more than the $1,000. Parents can miss up to $2,500 quite easily on this credit if they don't claim it. Meanwhile, students typically miss about $1,000, and actually almost every single student qualifies and should claim at least $800. Okay? So I'm just giving you an idea about the value of this credit that gets missed very often by college students. If you don't have 4 years of tax returns with at least an $800 tax credit on the line that says American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is about 2/3 the way down the second page of your 1040, that's prior to 2018, and then they changed the tax forms in 2018 and 2019, and so in both of those years it's a little bit different. It's on a line that says education credits, or it says form 8863. Point is, it can be really hard to figure out if you claim the full $800, well, the minimum $800. Again, if you don't have $800 on that line and you're claiming a college student as one of your dependents, you probably missed money. Okay, you should be able to claim that, because the average student claims just $265 to $515. That's what I've found, and that means they're missing hundreds of dollars. Okay, and so you may wonder, why don't people claim the full American Opportunity Tax Credit? Why is it they only claim a partial amount? Well, the American Opportunity Tax Credit depends on the amount of tuition and related expenses that you claim or that your child student claims. And most students that have at least 2 classes at one time, that means they're at least a half-time student, they have enough tuition and related expenses to claim the full credit. So you'd think they would get that. However, Pell Grants and scholarships mess up the whole equation. They make it incredibly complicated. So students and parents typically claim too little of the American Opportunity Tax Credit whenever the student gets scholarships or Pell Grants. This is because TurboTax, H&R Block Online, or the tax software that's used by most accountants, including probably your family accountant, simply computes the American Opportunity Tax Credit incorrectly when, or unfavorably, let's say, when the student has scholarships or Pell Grants. The software elects to reduce the tax credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, based on the tax-free scholarship that the student receives. However, according to the IRS, the student or the parent has the choice to pay tax on some of that financial aid. And that will often result in a much higher valuable tax credit, or AOTC. But most accountants are unaware of this fact, which is why the IRS issued a fact sheet saying that millions of college students miss thousands of dollars on their taxes every year. Basically, when you count the full amount of money that's missed, it's tens of millions of dollars that students are leaving on the table every single year. So, if your financial aid, your scholarships and Pell Grants, is tax-free, meaning you don't pay any tax on it, then it reduces your American Opportunity Tax Credit. And if, however, you actually do pay some tax on your financial aid, then you can usually claim a much larger American Opportunity Tax Credit. And the amount of tax that students typically have to pay on that financial aid is incredibly small compared to the value of the huge credit that they're giving up. So you also need to know that when you're trying to determine just how much scholarship and grant to pay tax on, you might include too much scholarship and grant, and that will reduce your earned income credit or your premium tax credit or your additional child tax credit. So you might include too much scholarship and Pell Grant in your income, and that can really mess up how much money you're getting back. So that means, as the IRS says in the fact sheet that they put out on their website, that the calculation for really optimizing your tax refunds is unusually complex. And that happens whenever you get a scholarship or a Pell Grant. So I've already mentioned that 9 million students fail to claim the full amount every single year, that basically all of the software you might be using or your accountant might be using is doing it wrong by default. You have to be an expert in this area and really know what you're doing to calculate the correct amount of the American Opportunity Tax Credit. And the average amount that students miss is about $1,300 every single year. Parents who have income over $160,000 or $80,000 if they're single, they do not qualify at all for the American Opportunity Tax Credit, or at least it's very, very reduced. So if you're a parent making more than that amount of money and you have a college student that is your dependent, if it's possible for you to allow your college student to prepare their own tax return and claim themselves as a dependent, so you don't claim them, then they should probably do that to enable them to qualify for that $1,000 American Opportunity Tax Credit that you're just not going to be able to benefit from. Okay, so what do you do if you have already prepared your tax returns from past years and you missed the full American Opportunity Tax Credit? You didn't claim at least $800, and you think you may have missed that $1,300. How do you find out how much you missed, and how do you claim the money that you missed? This is why I created collegetaxrefunds.com. This website allows you to start a free and totally risk-free quote to find out exactly how much money you missed on your old taxes. If you click that button on the right side of your screen here at collegetaxrefunds.com, you begin a free quote by punching in the tuition and scholarship or Pell Grant information about the student, and then a few numbers off of your tax return, your old tax return. And that does not include any self-identifying information. You do not have to give your, for example, your email address even, or your phone number to get a quote. You don't have to give a social security number. You just give a few dollar numbers off of your tax return, and you find out exactly how much money you missed on that old tax return. And then if you want to move forward with College Tax Refunds, we can also help you prepare an amended tax return so that you get that money back from the IRS. And we will, of course, haggle with the IRS. We have a great relationship with the IRS and are able to help you get that money back. So we'll do all of that for you. I want you to be aware that there's a little bit more information on this website that you can look at. You can learn, first of all, that, again, 9 million students every single year miss about $1,300. That's according to the IRS. You can watch this video that explains, once again, how that money was missed. I've just kind of explained it here in this slideshow today. You can get some testimonials by several of our thousands of students that have used our service to get back money. And then here is the fact sheet linked directly to the irs.gov website that explains that 9 million students are missing this every year because this area of tax law is, unlike any other area of tax law, just unusually complicated. That's a little bit of a joke. Of course, all the rest of tax law is very complicated, but for some reason the IRS chooses to say that this area, the area related to scholarships and Pell Grants, the area related to education credits, is unusually complex. And you really need to have somebody who is focused on college taxes to help you get that money back when you had scholarships or Pell Grants. I invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, College Tax Refunds. Please like this video, share it with your friends, especially those who were recently in college or who have children who were recently in college. Make sure they get the money back on their old taxes. And please ask me any questions or make any comments that you have in the comments area down below. Thanks so much for your time. Hope you have a great day.